Hey everyone, and welcome to the 25th installment of the Weekly Catch-Up Podcast. It is Wednesday, March 25th, and it's our 25th episode. I'm your host, Carson Gibbons, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. B-Rad Colvin.
That'd be me.
25, buddy. Woo!
25, man.
What's the anniversary stone for 25?
Silver.
Is it really?
It is.
Oh, did you just Google that?
Like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we have a lot to get into. We're going to mix a little bit more of everyday happenings in life amid all this coronavirus controversy and quarantines. We are not sheltering in place because we're podcasting, people.
We're part of the problem.
All right. So you ready to continue being part of the problem?
Let's get it.
It's the weekly catch up with Carson and Brad. Here to talk about the week we done had. It could be sports, religion, politics. We keeping the tabs. You would think they work for Gucci, how they deep in they bag. Get your facts up. On Wednesday we'll be counting the stats up. So turn the volume up till it's maxed up. You know the drill. So tell a friend to relax up and chill. We back up. This is the weekly catch up.
$25 sitting on 25, Mr. B-Rad. What's up?
How you feel?
I was crunching the metrics earlier because I was thinking, is this the episode where we eclipse the 2 days of content mark? But nope. No, we'll net out about 43 hours after this, though, which is, we're like a work week plus 3. So speaking of work weeks, how's all the tots and thoughts out there doing with home quarantine? Hope you're not getting beat and all this additional domestic violence that we're seeing.
Yeah, man. Divorce rates are up.
I saw 2 lesbians break up on the stairs the other day, and these girls were attractive, so I was like, don't take her back.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of custody battles back in December.
At the same time, I saw somebody tweet the other day that out of these depressions come little boomers 9 months later because everybody's quarantined. But I think that was like the first week of quarantine, but now that we're going on almost double-digit days, I think that,
they're kind of over it.
I think that the lovemaking has quit and the going for the butcher knife has commenced in certain areas. Technically, I saw a news report that Child Protective Services have been called less frequently since school let out, but then they also said that the number one reporter to CPS is technically teachers, so that would make sense.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure if that statistic is related, but yeah, just real quick, I was one of the bad people that went into the office every day last week and played another 36 holes this weekend, including one with a couple of guys. So shout out to those guys. We bumped elbows, but this week I have been locked down more so.
Yeah.
I've just finished my 3rd remote day from the home office, which we'll get into that later, but give us the update. You were going to update us on your Monday meeting where you were just going to figure everything out, right?
Man. So it's been an interesting week for me. I've also been, self-isolating unless I'm up at the school. On Monday, I got together with our school staff. All of our students were told to stay home, and we began our plan for distance learning. And so that meeting really consisted of one of my fellow coworkers like giving tutorials for some of our older coworkers and just like how to run like the Zoom program and like screen sharing different.
This is how you shout.
This is what?
Nothing. Okay. You said distance learning. I'm like 1 + 1.
Still 2. No. Okay. So like for me on Monday and Tuesday, I was in my classroom and I was online on Google Classroom throughout the day. And I had just posted some material online for my students. I gave them some PDFs and some discussion questions to answer. And I told them to come prepared for Wednesday because today we began our actual discussions on Zoom. And so all of my students came prepared. They had already written down, their responses to certain discussion questions that I had. And then, we briefly talked some more. And then I gave them like a writing prompt. And the beautiful thing about Zoom is that, if we're in a classroom, I can't actually get a student to shut up. Like Zoom, I can mute them. It's amazing. Yeah. I have one student that's just like running his mouth on the Zoom thing, and I just mute him, and the rest of us, continue talking, and it was actually pretty funny. And so we had a good laugh at that. And
was he talking to somebody in his physical location, or
no? He was talking to like our other classmates and like trying to distract them, just like he always does in class.
This is one line, bro.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
This ain't a room.
Yeah, like you can't whisper. Like we all hear it.
What an idiot! Sounds like he needs to go back to some remedial stuff anyway.
Well,
here's how sound works, kids.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to try to roast him too much, but
well, let me try.
I will say he's a senior in some of my sophomore classes. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Got it. Okay. This isn't his first time to have to go to weird school.
Yeah, but it's cool. We got to crack jokes, and some of the students just caught me up on what they've been up to, and
man, it's like Zoom works for jokes and conversations and stuff.
Yeah.
Like two-way communication?
Yeah, it was great. Okay. Well, more like 20-way. But
so had you had a relationship with Zoom prior to this?
I had used it for an interview. Like whenever I got hired in Maryland, I used Zoom for that interview.
Right on.
But I had never been like the facilitator.
Oh, okay. I actually just got my first like paid account on Zoom last year.
Nice.
Like late last year when I started Appreciate. I still use Google Hangouts a lot too, or Google Meet, whatever it's called, because my HubSpot meetings link page generates, like, it does everything for me, where I just send you an automated email and essentially say, like, please check out my calendar and book something, and then you can go in, you can book it. I'm sure Calendly, it's not Calendly, but it's something like that.
Nice.
And it automatically generates my first meetings through Google Hangouts, but then from then on out, I'm always just going to my own personal meeting room within Zoom. And I love Zoom. I think it's better quality. I think that there's an image in software sales for sure. It's part of an overall image. I feel like whatever link you get from like a sales rep trying to sell you something, like we went through a process recently where we were sourcing some software and looking at different things. And we talked to one vendor who was the global market leader in everything.
Yeah.
So fill in the blank. And they just sent us a bunch of Google Hangout links and like they weren't even like live on the call. They were, they didn't have their screen on or their camera on. And, I definitely agree. Our mentality is, camera on, and this is a real meeting. Like,
yeah.
So we're going to come in and we're not going to just be like, okay, go to cell one. It's like, we spend 5 to 10 minutes rapport building, key wins, segues at the beginning of each meeting. And even if we just got off a marketing meeting today and it was like, we had casual conversation at the top, how's everyone doing? Okay. And I'm always wanting to report back on all the stuff that I'm working on. So I'm less great about the personal stuff, but shout out to Andrew. It's his birthday today.
Shout out.
He's just swamped, dude. Yeah. Actually, I won't comment on too much, but his brother has coronavirus and was actually admitted into the he wasn't admitted to the hospital last night, but they ambulanced him to the ER. It sounds like in New York. He's at the epicenter.
Wow.
So yeah, just trying time for a lot of people out there. It's pretty insane because I was talking to my friend Stacy, who lives in Baltimore. Shout out Stacy. You know her.
Of course. Love Stacy.
I love that picture of all of us at Inner Harbor.
Yeah, man.
I always see that and I'm like, whoa, like what a different time and place. And that day was just incredible.
Yeah, it was a wonderful day.
It was a wild day. But I was talking to her and she was like, I've got a feeling, Carson. Like, she's like, I feel it in my bones that closer to us than you think, people are going to drop. Like, whether it's, she was like, my parents, your parents, somebody's loved one, or somebody, I would say freakishly 18 to 50-year-old range. But I think that even from the last time that we broadcasted or podcasted, I think that the realization has been that the 18 to 50-year-olds are in much more dire danger than we originally thought.
Yes.
Is that what you've seen as well?
Yeah, definitely.
I see a lot of the hospitalizations and ventilator situations. And
yeah, man, you have Olympic athletes that are, young Olympic athletes that are that are dealing with it, and it's really throwing them for a loop. And they said this is the most difficult thing they've ever been through. I mean, obviously it's a terrible virus, but just to hear that, you know, a lot of the younger folk are going through it, and it's depend. I don't know. It just seems to pick and choose like who, you
completely.
know, because some people have it being, you know, no symptoms.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's real.
They're just a carrier.
Like, yeah, it's really hard to gauge. Like, you know, anybody is susceptible to it. So it's definitely been an interesting thing to watch. But yeah, back to teaching. You were kind of talking about how instead of just jumping into a cell, like, you know, you're going to have discussion, everything. Like I had students that would log in, but they would have their video off or their camera pointed to the ceiling because they didn't want to be viewed. And I'm like, we see your ugly mug like every day in the classroom, man. Like turn your video back on. And like I can't control if they're, you know, if they have their phone outside of view from the camera screen, but I can at least make sure that, you know, they're as present as I can ensure. So that was that was pretty interesting.
It goes to the presence situation though, like in school or in business. And I say that I've been on Google Hangouts in years past at previous positions where I was not camera on and I would go on mute if I wasn't speaking. And especially if I wasn't the leader of the call, like I just was not engaged like I should have been. Yeah. And when you're on camera, first of all, it definitely gives you a sense of normalcy. Like I think in my previous posts, I've demoed when I've done heavy demo sales like this, like in former roles, it was more developer centric where it was just kind of like, send me the docs. Like, let's talk through this. Everybody was on a couch, like with scroungy hair type deal. But in my current position, you know, even all the clients that I'm having conversations with now that are taking calls from home, like we're all on camera, everybody's professional, you know, waist up type deal. Cause a lot of these people don't really know how to work from home, but I do like having been in the office for the last 4 or 5 months prior to this, because I was concerned about work from home and just, you know, like I was concerned that I wouldn't be as dialed in if I wasn't in the office. Yeah. And I get energy from having to get up, put pants on, do my hair, and like go be seen by people. Yeah. And granted, we've had extremely busy days here in this coronavirus outbreak with my job. Like we have so many inbounds. People are looking for ways to maintain at a minimum or provide an uptick in engagement for a workforce that is used to water cooler kudos of sorts. Like,
I got to boost that morale.
You're used to that quick email like, hey, Brad, great job. And maybe the principal is CC'd, or you're used to going to the bathroom, running into the principal. Hey, man, that service that you led earlier was awesome. You know, just little things like that you can't replicate now. And the 5 minutes at the outset of a Zoom call with your remote team isn't sufficient to provide engagement and like a sense of belonging and all these different things that, you know, we say that our apps help you foster in your culture. So
that's cool.
I don't want to get too much into work, but we've had some really exciting like clients come across.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, I mean, just like big global brands, very exciting stuff. Yeah. You know,
they'll remain nameless for now.
Yeah, I guess that's appropriate though.
Yeah,
we were talking,
but they're huge, guys. He told me earlier, and honestly, like that's it's amazing, dude.
I'm having to bite my tongue, but at the same time,
I'm really excited for you.
What I was thinking about is like, I should never discuss anybody that's in an active deal stage ever. That would be totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, bottom line is that it's been one of our biggest inbound weeks since like the first of the year, when everybody gets their engagement survey results back from the year prior, where recognition always scores low.
Yes.
Or lower than you want it to. So some people, I've talked to other people, marketers that were marketing products, services, locations, you know, promos. They're now just marketing to internal audiences to try to like maintain some level of engagement. Others are just kind of like on hiatus. If you have a corporate job, and really, if you're in that position, in some ways, that's who I'm most scared for. Are, you know, all the restaurant workers lost their jobs, essentially, all service workers. Now, granted, a lot of those people are going to go to Grubhub and Walmart and all these different places that are just hiring in droves right now. Like I saw was it Grubhub or one of those was hiring 300,000 contract drivers.
I didn't see that.
Which was just insane to me. But yeah, if you're on hiatus, it's like those are the people that could be lopped off as budgets get diminished and or shrunk, or diminished and shrunk are the same thing. Cut, reallocated is what I was looking for, like reappropriated, taken from this bucket and put in that. But yeah, my work from home, this isn't a vacation at all. Like I'm probably working harder than I ever have been in some ways. And you were talking earlier about like, oh, your abbreviated teaching schedule doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah. So I'll explain how it has been abbreviated. So we've cut out our elective classes, like, stained glass or auto mech or home ec. And we're just doing the core classes. So instead of having my 6th period at 2:00, I'm now having it at 11:30, and my last class ends at 12:30. But because we've moved to online, like I've just been doing a lot more prep work. I kind of completely threw out what I had planned this month for one of my classes, and I'm doing something entirely new because what I was wanting to do would not have worked for like distance education. So I've completely thrown that out. I've also had a lot more parent engagement, like okay, to put it into perspective, since I started here at this school this year, I've gotten 2 emails total from parents, like just 2. And this week alone, I've gotten like probably 20. And then these are high school students, so a lot of them, they ask their own questions. So I've definitely gotten a lot more emails and texts and what have you from students trying to figure out what's going on. Because whenever we went in to school on Monday, like the students really didn't know what was going on because we hadn't formulated a plan. We had been on spring break, and we had teachers, that had gone out on that mission trip, and they actually had to come back like 3 or 4 days earlier. Luckily, they were able to come back. But yeah, so it's just been a lot more work and just, assuring the parents that, we're still moving forward and that we have it under control for the students, and we're going to continue on with our lesson plans. So it's been a little nerve-wracking, but it's kind of been fun too.
That's a sentiment that I've tried to articulate to certain people over the last couple of years. Like, if you're used to a situation where, yes, you're tied in, like you have a work email address, you've called your principal before, you've gotten texts from coworkers or students, like you're digitally tied in, but at the same time, like there is a general understanding, like school starts at this time.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that your principal doesn't talk to you in the morning prior to you arriving on campus.
Not this week, no.
Like there's not a queue of tasks that could have cropped up overnight for you that are outside of your lesson plans,
right?
Unless it's like a student got sick or like a makeup thing, but generally, it's going to happen that week. You go in and execute it, and the majority of your involvement and conversation and planning and all of this is more in person, or hand submitted, person to person. And over the last like 4 or 5 years, really, maybe even longer than that, really, my whole life has been transitioning between 15 different communication apps on my phone to 38 different communication apps on my laptop. I've literally transitioned multiple meetings this week from one video platform to the other based on what we were doing. Like, discovery call went well. Well, let's go into the demo, but I don't want to do that on this. I want to send you to Zoom. So I'm chatting people video links from video platforms that we're currently meeting in.
Yeah.
And my phone is wired to a CRM. I'm clicking to call out of a browser. I'm calling out of my cell phone. Sometimes my AirPods are wired to the computer because I've just done a demo on Zoom, and then the boss is calling on my iPhone, and I want to re-navigate over there. Like, it is a constant technological chase your tail, crazy situation, and I could get a text at any moment that could spring me into a series of actions to jump on a hot lead. And that's my life. And I think it breeds, for me personally, like, I want digitally dead zones. Like, that's why I like to golf on the weekend or whenever I can, because I love to put it on do not disturb. Like, this is my perfect day. going out golfing alone or with another golfer that I'm, good with in that situation, put the phone on do not disturb. I don't even want you to play music out of the cart,
Right.
Like I want to hear the wind, the birds. I want to wait for the clack of that ball against the club. Just be quiet. Like, don't even yell.
Mm-hmm.
Just be still, be calm. I really crave that. And the minute I get any element of it, I end up saturating myself. The minute I get to the hotel or whatever, or if I'm out in the mountains or something, I'm like, what's happening in the world? Where's CNN? Where are my push notifications? But I got to tell you, it drains me in many ways. Like, I woke up this morning and I had a text message about an urgent lead.
Mm-hmm.
It was system generated, but it was from 26 minutes prior to me waking up. So like I wake up to things that have gotten to the point of a text.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing. No company really establishes priority ladders for like which applications they hit you up in. Like it's like if you hit me up via email, I get to email you back when I email you back. But if I hit you up in Slack, is the sense of urgency higher? If I text or call you, like, is that on the table? Because I'll notice that different people in business will use different communication apps based on the day. So sometimes they might, whereas they would Slack you, maybe they'll email you if it's a weekend, like tone down the urgency some.
Right.
But bottom line, you're receiving inbound communication, both from real people and system generated, 7 days a week. And somebody is always up using your product. And I got to tell you, it's like draining. These are the times when it's like, I would love to be a janitor that swept the gym good. And, I can hang my hat on that and I can go home. And when I'm home, for real. Right. But at the same time, you got to be a janitor, bro.
Yeah, that ain't you and me, man.
I know.
I don't clock out when I clock out, man.
No, I mean, and we never will. I mean,
dude, I mean, for me, it's just the frustrations of like having to answer the same questions over and over because I deal with bonehead kids that aren't paying attention to the posts that I'm posting. So like, on Monday, this is our first, session. And I'm like, okay, you need to log in at this time and I need to make sure that you're logged in. And they're like, well, what time do we have to log in? I'm like, well, look at the post that I just posted. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to be reading this book. I provided a link to a free PDF, so you don't even have to pay for it. I even put free in caps lock, and somebody's like, I don't own this book. Am I going to have to pay for it? And I'm like, okay, I'm already having to juggle like this new thing. It's really frustrating whenever I have to deal with, certain kids that aren't paying attention or following instructions or reading what I'm posting. I'm like, I'm not typing this for my sake. Like, I'm trying to help you out and let you know what to do. And so that's been probably the most frustrating part on my end, is like jumping through hoops and getting all this done just for students to be like, what?
Yeah, I totally see that. I mean, in a sales call, it's like, it's not the client's problem if they don't get it. It's mine.
Right.
And in some ways, this remote learning stuff is going to teach teachers how to make things compelling and sticky. And you're not going to have access to, I know you were already doing interactive things, walking around the different spots in the classroom, finding a clue, reading a passage, doing all that. I think that's great. You're going to have to find ways to recreate that now. And it almost sounds, from my sales process driven brain, it almost sounds like taking 15 minutes to put together a remote learning one sheet for kids, where it's like, hey, things are a little bit different now. Right. And just to save everyone's time and patience, here are the rules. Like, step 1, when you receive written communication in email, Google Classroom, or via Zoom chat, you must read the entirety of that written communication prior to voicing anything. Like, there's a step. You might formulate some sort of, because you've never been in this situation. Nobody has. This is a once in a lifetime thing. Like, can we talk about, I went to play golf Saturday morning and there were 17,000 domestic cases. I came back from playing golf and there were 24,000 domestic cases. And now there's like 60,000 plus in the US. We're about to cross the 1,000 death mark. So this is, it's hard because it's very much luck of the draw, but this whole like, oh, it only affects senior citizens thing is out the door for sure.
Yeah.
Italy and Spain and the US are just getting ravaged right now. And right now, Louisiana, in their first 13-day stint since their first case was diagnosed or detected, whatever you'd say, they are growing at a higher exponential rate than any other market in the world, including Italy, including China.
That's wild.
Like they are percentage points ahead of those markets in terms of, and I'm like, of course, like these people are dirty.
Yeah, I mean, you wrestle one gator and then somebody else wrestles it.
You got the COVID.
Yeah.
I got COVID from this here gator.
Yeah.
I'm the COVID Cajun. Dude, speaking of Cajuns, I watched Segura, Tommy Bunn's new special for the tots and bots out there. We're talking about ball hog. Yeah. Kind of weird. I know exactly what he's talking about, and that's a gross title, but yeah. Tom Segura, he's a like top 5 current performer.
Yeah.
You would say?
I would say.
Yeah. At the top of his craft. This one, he still had some very Tom moments where he just wanted to murder people. I very much enjoyed all those bits, but it seemed a little less dark than like his first one where he doesn't have any kids yet.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And like I told you, this is the stand-up that I had seen in person whenever I saw him in DC. And so I had already heard a lot of the bits. He changed things here and there because he was still working out those bits whenever I saw him. And even whenever I saw it live, I walked out of it with my friends saying, yeah, I mean, it was good, but definitely not my favorite of his. So still stand by that. But if you're a fan, it was enjoyable, and
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, and you have nothing better to do. So,
well, we have a lot of viewing options. We'll get into that in a little while, but there's a lot to talk about this week.
Man, let's get off this topic.
Well, hold on. I did watch the whole special, which is more than I can say for most specials.
Yeah.
I watched the first 20-30 minutes of Bert. I watched the first 30 seconds of Mark Maron, and then I was like, why do I always try this guy?
I didn't even bother.
Dude, I hate him. I hate his stand-up so much.
I don't understand how he's gained so much recognition and popularity. Like,
everybody should boycott him.
Yeah.
Boycott him like he's a restaurant. Make him fire all his employees. Okay. So there's that. What were we talking about with Segura? He's a great comedian. I enjoyed this special. The whole reason I was talking about Cajuns, I didn't want to just be like racist or whatever it is. I don't know if you can be racist against a Cajun, but I didn't want to just let that go unexplained. So in his last special, it was right around the time that Trump was campaigning and build the wall and lock her up and all that was going on. And he said, I'm all for building a wall in this country around Louisiana. And he was like, F that state. Like, that state is so gross. Yeah. Well, in this special, he took the opportunity to absolutely double down on that sentiment. And it was kind of an unexpected twist because he seemed almost apologetic going into that bit. And then he did what he did. And I was like, oh, yeah, like that was a good.
Right.
I really liked what he did there. The way that he threw some shade at some other states in the process was worth going and checking out. So. Yeah.
Tom Segura, Ball Hog
on Netflix.
Yeah.
They have so you want to get to this is actually #1 trending in America. So I don't think we're breaking news, but maybe to this audience we are.
The greatest documentary in the existence of documentaries.
I remember watching the preview and being like, is this a movie or a like this didn't happen.
Bruh.
So Tiger King,
man. Joe Exotic.
Man. So I'm only on the 4th episode.
I stayed up late and watched all of it last night. And you have no idea.
When I talked to Stacy, I was like, I'm watching that Joe Exotic doc right now. And she was like, oh yeah, I watched it Saturday.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
done.
Very nice. But all those self-quarantiners out there, Joe Exotic, Tiger King. Oh my goodness. It's basically about all these crazy personalities that own these big cat farms or exotic viewing zoos across America, and this tangled web that they all knew each other. They all had their alliances and their beefs, and one was masquerading as like more of a preserve, and really she had a checkered past of not only it was like, did she kill her husband and feed him to a tiger, but it was she had also been in the tiger showing industry,
and she's like the Tiger King's arch nemesis.
This thing gets hairy, y'all.
Okay, I just want to read this real quick.
Okay,
so
you're not going to spoil anything for me, right?
It's just a description.
Okay,
and so this says there's a magician, meth head, tiger tamer, country singer, gay polygamist, an Alex Jones type, but with live tigers in his videos, and presidential candidate. And then the other person's like, oh, that's way too many people to track. And it's like, no, that's just one guy. Like that, all of those descriptors are for Joe Exotic.
Was he a presidential candidate? I haven't gotten to that part yet.
No, but...
Okay. So Joe Exotic, he's a busy man.
He gained so much recognition that like John Oliver, like they showed a John Oliver clip talking about him within the documentary. Like,
okay, stop.
Okay, yeah, you hurry up, man.
I know. I wonder how many. Tweet us if you've already watched all of this at the time of this airing tonight, Wednesday, March 25th. Because I looked at it last night, and Netflix has these cool metrics that it shows now, like #1 trending in the USA, and that tiger. I remember like seeing I hadn't seen social buzz over it since to this extent since maybe, I don't know, what would you say, like Black Mirror, or what went viral the last time on like You? I don't think I've seen something go so viral since You.
You did Bird Box. I went viral. I had a viral tweet whenever Bird Box came out. Love is Blind, I talked about that a couple episodes ago. That one's gained a lot of recognition as well.
Yo, fun fact about that. Love is Blind, the weird dating reality show that Brad described a couple episodes ago on Netflix.
Yeah.
So one of the, I saw this on Facebook this week. One of the story coordinators, story planners, or story production people is Barrett's wife.
Yes, I saw that as well.
Yeah, I grew up with, so Barrett Thomas, good friend of ours.
Yeah.
How do you know him again?
Well, I didn't meet him until college, but him and like Daniel, all of them, Ryan Spady, like we all hung out together.
Okay. It's a small world in the faith, so I'm never surprised. I knew you knew him, but then I got to thinking, I'm like, he never went to Southwestern or Southern.
No, Barrett was
at Southern. He did go to Southern, yeah. I forgot that.
Yeah, so I hung out with him there a little bit.
Well, he and his wife are both in the film industry, I guess, and she's a coordinator, production artist, or something on that. And so that's cool. I love seeing stuff like that where, did they meet at Southern? Or UNT?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Is she Adventist? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
I haven't talked with Barrett since I went to Southern, so.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him, or his brother Wilson is like a medical missionary in Africa for the last decade or something. Wow. And yeah, did you ever meet Wilson?
Mm-mm.
Wilson was the guy that I kind of expected would go Joe Exotic, but he had this dream to be a doctor since he was like in 10th grade or maybe even earlier. And he stuck with it. He became a doctor. He did exactly what he wanted to do, which was get married and have a family. And he's been living in Africa for, like I said, years, if not a decade at this point, administering medical aid to people in like a village and some sort of, I don't know if it's a hospital or a refuge or what it is, but yeah, both of those guys ended up being really accomplished in their own respective rights already.
Yes.
Which was pretty cool. Daniel's in Colorado last time I checked.
Really?
Yeah, he moved out there. I think he and his sister Laura moved out to Colorado. Who else did you meet? Did you ever meet Tanner?
Yeah, Tanner.
Yeah. He's been in New York, actually.
Is he still?
I thought he was in New York at, was he at Raytheon or something?
Yeah, but I thought he had left New York, but I could be wrong.
Okay. He pops up in Snapchats or Instagrams or whatever around the country with these people that we all know just randomly, sporadically. And I never know what the occasion is. It's just whatever pocket of, Adventism, I guess you fall into. But,
right.
And then I don't know where Ryan is or what he's up to. Do you?
No idea. I haven't, any of those guys.
He was on IGTV the other night and I accidentally got into like this really intimate thing where it was like Carson Gibbons joined and like the other people are commenting and I was like, I gotta leave this thing right now.
Try to leave before they notice.
Like, whoops.
Yeah.
It's like, didn't mean to watch your story.
But anyway, back to all those Netflix things that you could be watching. Definitely check out Tiger King. If you haven't caught on to Love Is Blind yet, man, that's a trip as well. I've been watching The Circle, which is like this social media type of thing, where you vote people just based on their personality, but they could be faking their personality because you never actually see that. It's like another thing where they're confined to their own room and they try to like just become popular amongst the crowd and not get voted off. But then if you win too many weeks in a row, then you become subjective to like people wanting to kick you out of there. So The Circle.
Yeah, I've seen the ads for that of the graphics, and it looked pretty compelling, but I couldn't quite decide what it was. But maybe I'll give it. It's weird how all these social isolation shows with a technological component is like so indicative of the time that we're in.
Yeah, it's wild, and that they both came out before the outbreak.
Well, and aren't there films or whatever called Contagion and The Outbreak and like things that have been recycled?
Contagion came out like in 2012 or something like that. And that's like, I tweeted a couple days ago that it was the number 2 movie in iTunes at the moment that I had sent that out, which is crazy, for a movie that came out 8 years ago to be trending. But yeah, then there's also like a pandemic doc.
Oh yeah,
that's on Netflix.
That seems a lot of timely.
Yeah, a lot of timely stuff.
So there's a lot of people trying to profit while others are. I mean, I've heard stats that unemployment could be as high as 20 or 30% when this is all said and done, and that it could be a $10 trillion, lift up effort or bailout effort that is needed when you account for everything. But there are a lot of companies like futures. This is so weird. Like these big inflection points. You know how we talked about outliers a while back, where it was like, sometimes we're thrust into this common destiny where everybody's playing field is suddenly leveled for a moment, or certain people that were on the top are now on the bottom. Like there's a reshuffle that could happen right now. This is as big in some ways as like a World War II or the Spanish flu or any of these other things that changed the course of history, changed like how we will interact in the future.
Yeah, there will definitely be like a line in the sand, like a before and after coronavirus.
Absolutely. And people's fortunes are even being made right now. Like I'll never forget back in 2017 reading the press release that Sequoia Capital, one of the best VCs in the world, had put $100 million into Zoom, even though Zoom did not need the money. Mm-hmm. Zoom had a bunch of money in the bank. Right. And they became a unicorn with that investment because Sequoia put in $100 million for 10% of the business. So it was $1 billion investment. Zoom is now trading at $45 billion market cap. So I saw somebody tweet that in this pandemic era, Zoom had become the newest social media channel, the newest social media platform. Yeah. In that, Facebook portal, all of these different things, like Zoom is. What have you heard more of or more about over the last 2 weeks than Zoom?
Yeah, it's not even just business or like schools that are using it. I've seen a lot of like my students just as friends, they're all connecting through Zoom as well. Just to like
I've seen trivia nights held by Zoom.
Yeah, it's
trivia nights and
something else, man.
Netflix watching party or whatever it is. Like all of these collaboration rooms and tools that you can engage with content together. It's just like I have friends in YC that were coming up with these different concepts, and that fortunes will be made. All I'm saying is that you're going to go from nothing to like, whoa, we've got some market share going on here. And if you're one of those tools, it's like, it's funny, like you're hunkering down. It's been amazing to see the news media and sports coverage. Like I'm watching First Take from everyone's bedroom,
right.
And I've seen
all these trades.
We'll get to that, but a lot of people are using AirPods as microphones for live broadcasts, I've noticed.
Right.
And I wondered if that would ever be the case, because I'm like, man, these AirPods are so crisp. And like, I can anticipate, especially if we're doing a Zoom meeting and I'm on my AirPods, I'm better capable of moderating my volume, my tone, and anticipating when you're going to quit talking and like not cutting you off. There's fewer friction points whenever you're wearing your AirPods.
I didn't think about that. I'm going to take mine into work tomorrow.
I have screenshots of our team meeting on Zoom, and I'm always the only one on AirPods.
Yeah.
I'm always, no client ever gets on with AirPods. Like
all my students have their headphones in, but it's more for clout. They just want to show off what they
do
have.
anything for clout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
So it's a weird time from that perspective. Real talk, like people are dying and going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could have peers that unexpectedly pass. So we need to understand that this is an extraordinary time, but you got to think like people are already doing memes on these meme accounts. Like, remember this places, like the strip centers, and people are. I can't wait for the next group text to go somewhere. I'm definitely there. Like I won't, ghost people like I used to, because people miss seeing people.
Yeah. Or maybe I should tell the coronavirus that I love it, and then it'll run away.
Crazy girl.
The Rona.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. I'm trying to think about the best ones that I've seen. Yeah, but in all sincerity and seriousness, the Rona is for real. It's here to stay. These numbers are like skyrocketing, and I would like to know more about these victims that are being hospitalized, and I want to know how many of these deaths are 18 to 50-year-olds.
Definitely.
I just want to get like
It's hard to get a census, man.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many that have, not been diagnosed yet. But
I want to get an inside look at this from a medical professional's point of view. So we got a special segment for the 25th installment of the weekly Catch-Up podcast, and it comes from
Buff and Abroad,
one of our like most dyed-in-the-wool listeners. Would you say?
Yeah. He's Brock has definitely been a huge supporter of the podcast, and he listens every chance he gets. And I had the opportunity to hang out with him, and this past week during my spring break in Colorado, and I had him record a little snippet just from his perspective. And so
and why does his perspective matter other than friendship and listener?
Because he works in the medical field.
What is he?
You'll hear more. He's a PA.
A physician's assistant?
Yeah.
Which one is that? I never know what these things are.
Yeah.
He's more than a nurse?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Well, we got a special, unique, his view on the coronavirus and what's going on. I thought it was really relatable. He recorded it on his way home from the ER in Colorado after a shift. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Brock to the weekly Catch-Up podcast.
All right.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Brock, a.k.a. Buffin' Abroad. Well, although I guess I won't be going abroad much. And, well, come to think of it, I actually won't be going to the gym much either because it's closed. So I guess I don't have an identity. But anyway, I'm driving home from a shift from the ER here in Colorado, and just wanted to give a shout-out to all the healthcare workers out there. And not just people who are taking care of the patients directly, but, all the ancillary staff, people cleaning rooms, the folks, answering phones, the folks bringing food. I mean, these guys are also being exposed on the daily, so, definitely a big shout out to those people. And, I want to give props to everyone out there who's doing the correct thing, or what we at least think is the correct thing at this point, and doing the social distancing and not helping to spread this thing around. Definitely I was, fairly skeptical initially with this whole virus, and I was under the impression that it was, just the flu, one of those just the flu bros, and I really had to see for myself, and I really had to read some case reports to honestly kind of hit home. I mean, seeing a person the same age as me with no medical problems, struggling to breathe and intubated, and it's a little real. And I mean, let's be real with this thing. It's a nasty little bugger, and it'll get you, and it's a kind of a luck of the draw if you get sick from it. It seems to be very, almost random. So shout out to everyone who's doing the right thing. I mean, I think at this point we are doing good. I mean, I think most places our heads are above water now. I mean, who knows what will happen in the next week, but all we can really do is keep supporting each other, stay away from grandma and grandpa. I mean, you definitely don't want to be carrying it to them. And, the more data that comes out right now, the more it's saying that, there's a percentage that people are, asymptomatic and they're carrying this virus, or they might just have gastrointestinal symptoms and they're carrying the virus. And so you definitely don't want to be the one who got grandma sick and, got her in the ICU. That's certainly not something you feel very good about. But overall, guys, stay safe. Make sure everyone's getting all their sleep and their nutrients and their vitamins and everything to boost their immune system. I know you don't want to hear this, but probably drinking a little less alcohol would be ideal. I mean, I've personally reduced my alcohol usage. Just because it lures your immune system. Getting pretty trashed is not good for your system. Get outside. Get some sunlight. All the things that can make you, mentally and physically strong. You're going to want to do those things, especially if this thing gets wild in the next few weeks. So shout out to everyone doing their job, doing the right thing, and as these guys would say, all the shade towards the people who are not and who are congregating and who are out in Florida partying and saying it's no big deal because and who knows, and we'll never really know if this is the right thing to do, but I think that's kind of what we have to do at this point to prevent some catastrophe. So that's it. Thanks to Brad and Carson for letting me give a little shout out in here. I've been listening for a while, and these guys are putting together a nice product. So shout out to B-Rad and Carson. I guess Carson, I'll meet you someday, man. Anyway, peace, guys.
All right, B-Rad, you heard the man. Quit getting trashed and thank a healthcare worker. And
I was probably gonna stop doing meth.
Shout out to Brock. I've never heard his voice. He's sounds like a cool dude.
Dude, he's just
good old boy.
He's just a lovely dude that could beat the crap out of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was he the ripped up guy in your
yeah.
I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, that guy's pretty built. But I didn't know who was who because you were visiting multiple friends, I thought.
Yeah.
At different stops. But yeah, shout out to Brock for.
Yeah, great guy, both him and his wife, and it was a lot of fun hanging out with them, and obviously being able to hear his perspective on this, because for me, I'm, my girlfriend's a nurse. I was hanging out with Brock, Alec and Rochelle and a bunch of different other friends work in the medical field. And so I just kind of haven't been, panicking, or I've been taking it more lightly just because I've seen their reactions to it. But now that they're starting to take it more seriously, obviously, I'm not going to go against what they're saying because they deal with that stuff. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, it's good to hear it from his medical professional point of view, but it was also refreshing that just as a real dude, he's like, man, I kind of thought it was maybe a hoax or just the flu. And then, he definitely did the 180 that I know I did.
Right.
I didn't know how serious it was.
You go back, 3-4 episodes ago.
Yeah. I was like, coronavirus.
Yeah. They're canceling sports.
Oh man. I got a text message from my buddy Mike Hutton over in Philadelphia, and he was like, yeah, self-isolation for me began when they canceled the Masters.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah.
That's just atrocious. But it's funny to see all these celebrities starting to do the stay home hashtag, like doing all these like promo PSAs like on their social media. Yeah. So do you have any follow-ups to Gal Gadot's Imagine that you just hate?
So I'm just going to say, like, I stand by it. It was just like, obviously I didn't have a lot of material to talk about because I had just gotten back from my trip last week, and you had just randomly texted me, and I was like, well, I guess I can record today. And so I didn't have show notes or anything. And so that was one of the few things that I did know about. I will say, the video still sucked. I don't, but if it inspired someone,
you're a lot more prepared this week, Brad.
If it inspired someone, then awesome, man. I'm glad that Jimmy Fallon and Kristen Wiig did it for you.
Hey, man, I just heard that we're putting out a pretty great product, I believe is a direct quote.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That just made me feel good.
Yeah. Thank you, Brock. Hey, and then I got that text message. Actually, I would like to talk a little bit. So I had sent you a screenshot of a message that I received over the weekend.
I didn't know if you were going to discuss that or not.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to read it word for word or anything, but at the end of our show last time, I had shouted out Andy and Kaylee. They're two of my students that I had taught back in Dallas, my first and second year of teaching, and they're dating, and they brought it to my attention while I was in Colorado that they began listening to our podcast. And so I gave them a little shout out on the last one, but I really want to say, like, because Andy, he had messaged me, and he was saying that the Q&A that you and I did really resonated with him, and just kind of made him feel better about life, just because, we all have certain paths that we take, and he didn't go the college route, and so sometimes he feels, kind of down about that. But dude, I mean, it's 2020, and
college is canceled.
yeah, dude. Like, everybody's chilling. Like, so whatever you've been doing, I mean, keep that up. And I just want to give them kind of an even bigger shout out, just because they're, both Andy and Kaylee are two people that that really mean a lot to me, and kind of cemented how I teach, I suppose. So my first year of teaching, I didn't connect with a lot of my students. I kind of showed up, and I was trying to be the serious guy, and I'm not a hard ass or anything like that. Like, I'm not a strict person, but I am very caring, and I do hold my students to high standards. But at first, I was just trying to be the strict dude, and just have my students take me seriously. And I'm like 23, and so that didn't really resonate well, especially with the seniors that I was teaching at that time. And I really didn't. The juniors at that time. I didn't really connect with my juniors until the following year, when they were seniors, and a bunch of crazy stuff went down because we got a new principal who ended up being the reason why I left and moved to Maryland. But that's for another time. But anyway, so my sophomores, Kaylee was in this class, and she was in this class of 5. And, this Dallas school, it was a small school, and so we got to have like more personal conversations. Like, I really got to know my students, because I wasn't teaching a class of 25. I was teaching a class of 5 to maybe 12, depending on the grade. And so my sophomores, man, I really connected, because there was only 5 of them, and we'd have these deep discussions about literature, and really connect with them. And then also the freshmen, they had just gotten into high school, and so they didn't really have they knew some of the teachers that were already in Dallas, but this is the first time that they were being taught by them. So it's not like I came in and replaced one of their teachers. This was all new to them as well. So I really connected with the freshmen right off the bat, and Andy was in that class. And, I'd talk with Andy about music and life, and Carson, I don't know if you remember, but I started writing this book, and I sent you like the intro to it, where this girl was like running like a gazelle or something that you really like.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, man. And Kaylee and Andy and maybe like 3 other students, I had actually shown my writing to them, and this was something that kept me going for a while, like just sharing that with some of my friends and students, and getting feedback. And they were always giving me fun feedback about that, and like, oh, you have to show us what happens next. Obviously, I never finished the story or anything, because
I was about to ask, where's it? I mean, when do I need to give the contract for my 10%?
Yeah, I mean, probably like a 5th of it is done, and it's chilling on my MacBook, so I can always revisit it later. But
coming soon to Weekly Catch Up Podcast Publishing.
Yeah, we'll wait for this podcast to take off, and then I can plug the book.
Hey, buddy, it took off.
You're right. Yeah.
Episode 25.
You're right, and this is a good product. So
this is a good product. We've got a bro medical worker in rural Colorado that thinks that we got a great product, boy.
Oh yeah. And so I just kind of wanted to give like a bigger shout out to Kaylee and Andy, not only for them listening, but just because they were like some of my first students that I really connected with. And, it taught me that I could be myself and not be like this strict person, that I could just be real with them. And I don't have to use like, a big vocabulary or anything. I can just connect with them on a basic level and show them that I'm an imperfect human, but I still try my best, and I expect the same from them. And so I know we're not ending the show right now, but I just wanted to give them a bigger shout out than I did last week.
Mid-reel shout out.
That's right. We're switching it up a lot today, baby. Like,
we're just so ambidextrous.
We're keeping the listeners on their toes. You don't know what's going to happen.
Whipping white with my left wrist.
Yeah, I might drop a must heard at the end.
Oh, wow. That was the first, I feel like, kind of heartfelt text message that was inbound that I'd seen from like a show. Like, I get more of the laughing, crying emojis or like my mother will text me and why'd you say this? I can't believe you. I don't know, stuff like that. But
and my dad will be like, I'm so glad Carson said that. Like, that was hilarious.
But that was the first one that was like, oh yeah, like, and I was thinking about it because I was like, we're not heroes,
Nah.
I mean, we're kind of heroes with a microphone, but
like, I mean, they could call us, it's not who's to say.
I mean, I don't have a cape on, mask off, but no, I'm just saying that, I guess that the only commendable thing, which I don't even think we come to it with this thought or realization, is just that we do get kind of vulnerable at times on the show, like, which when you think about it is kind of crazy because most people aren't going to go to a dinner party and be like, hey, I've got some severe vulnerabilities because of the way I was brought up in a religion that I no longer know if I identify with or not. And how do I live my life not knowing that? Like, you don't lead with that. But on a podcast format, this is available to everybody at the dinner party and their mothers. You know, like anybody can go and listen to this on a variety of platforms.
They might not bring it up at the dinner, but they know how we're feeling.
I got to tell you, it's therapeutic to just get it out there. And then it's like, hey, man, if you didn't listen to the podcast, like, I'm done being emotional. Get out of my way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Check episode 16, buddy. Like,
yeah. I'm like, sorry, I talked about that 4 weeks ago. So if you need to go reference that, I've already had this conversation.
Yeah. That was in season 1.
No, but I'm like, I'm spent. So shade, get out of the way.
Yeah. I know you're dealing with that right now.
I'm utilitarian.
Yeah, you can connect with us a few weeks back.
I talked about my faith on episodes 5, 16, 13, and 25. No. Yeah, I guess that is a service that, but you have to like want to emulate us or feel a camaraderie with us of some sort. So it's almost like we're just, I swear, the first big public outing for the Weekly Catch Up podcast is going to be like the Nickelodeon Teen Awards because we've got this like little teeny bopper audience that I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like,
my students check in, like, in and out.
I have business people that check in, like, obviously our families and all of our direct closest friends, I would say.
Yeah, I wouldn't say my students listen, every week, but I would say that Andy and Kaylee are going to be pretty faithful listeners, at least for the time being. And but as far as like kids listening, they pop in every once in a while. I think they'll do it less now that they're at home and aren't going to talk. A lot of times they like to bring it up in person whenever they see me in class, but I don't see them doing that.
Anyway, this episode of the podcast brought to you by Capri Sun. Stab it right. Man, can we talk about how legit Capri Suns are?
So legit, man.
They're just one gulp.
They need to. I was about to say they need to sell gallons of that, man.
Well, they did come out with the bigger unit.
Stop it.
Like when we were still like, we weren't young. We were probably
like
going
a bigger
20.
A bigger pouch.
Yeah.
I'm saying I need a gallon of that thing, bro.
Man,
like put it in a milk carton.
That bigger pouch didn't do you right.
Nah.
All right.
I need that Pacific cooler, bro.
Well, Capri Sun was just the highlight of the pool party in the 90s, if you know what I mean. That and mac and cheese with hot dogs in it. Did you ever get that?
From like other friends' parents, I guess. It's a thing.
Yeah, because I was about to say, like, I feel like every Plano parent, it was like hot dogs and mac and cheese with a Capri Sun.
It was like a really simple meal, but it seemed bougie.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed right on. I've been in the sun. I need a Capri Sun and, an Oscar Mayer wiener all cut up in my Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Playing Bond in the background. And yeah, that was a different day and age, dude. That was way pre-COVID.
Yeah.
This is now. So they did cancel the games. They did postpone the Tokyo games.
Oh, yeah,
week.
the Olympics. Yeah, like 2 days ago, they were like, "Oh, that's never gonna happen," and then it happened.
Yeah, well, last week we reported. I think last Friday the Olympic flame had arrived, and I saw it all over the weekend evening news. And then they made the decision just because. What is it? It's already going to be April, so yeah. Although, did you see that Mark Cuban had said something about he thinks that the NBA season will be back in mid-May?
Yeah, that's very optimistic.
Well, Trump wanted the country back open by Easter. by Easter's.
Yeah, I guess it's like the
Reminds me of that Nacho Libre thing when that one priest gets the salad and he's like, Esmeralda, do you not know that I have had diarrheas since Easter's?
stupid. Yeah, I don't know.
Chancho.
Trump's like, yeah, we're coming out. We're going Easter egg hunting.
Yeah.
It's like pulling out the Ivan Drago, like, if he dies, he dies.
Well, that's how I felt. That's what I've been saying is if I get COVID, I need to get it while it's still fashionable, where I could still die.
Yeah.
I
like I want. Yeah.
want to be.
If I get the virus, I want to go viral. You know.
Yeah.
Gotta be topical.
I want to. Yeah, I want my tweet to actually get retweeted and be like, "Oh, Carson, no,
yeah,
what? I don't want to be one of these Middle Earth Americans."
Happens
that,
like 4 months.
Yeah,
4 months from
4
now.
months.
Whenever there's like some other
where it's
thing
just
going
like,
on.
ew, can you just get their project done? Like, we're sick of covering for you.
Yeah, like we're watching Tiger King right now.
Well, we're way behind. We're about to go into a Zoom training session. There's increasingly more and more HR leaders, and like based on what I hear from you and just industries as a whole, like these boomers are about to retire, man.
Oh, well, yeah, I think you liked my tweet, but I had tweeted out that teachers that are doing distance ed right now, like if they were just babysitting in their classroom, they are about to get exposed because, you know, you have parents staying home that are kind of like checking in or, you know, walking around the house while you're having your class. And if you're just chilling, like that's not a good look. So hopefully they have lesson plans.
Well, this is something that maybe we could wax eloquent on for a minute because I have some thoughts about this, at least up into a certain age.
Thoughts for tots.
Thoughts for tots. Thoughts for tots. Everybody deserves a thought.
All right.
Okay. Like in your head, thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, most of our listeners don't know what that means, so it's fine.
Urban Dictionary, that peeps.
I don't even know what that is.
Wasn't that one of your dad's suggestions? Like, you could call them peeps? Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
We'll call the boomer audience peeps.
Well, no, my mom was complaining. She was like, you know, I'm disappointed that Tots won. She was like, I liked weeklies.
Aw.
So the boomers can be the weeklies, and then the young kids can be thoughts. No, tots, I mean.
I'm not calling any young kid a thought.
No, not a young kid. A young kid to me is like 20-year-old.
All right.
You know, they're legal. So...
yeah, so we're gonna wax eloquent right now.
Yeah, not about that. That was a segue. So for the remote distance learning stuff,
all right.
One of the things that I think school has always been routinely used as is not only a learning vehicle, but we all know that if you just reduced it to the core curriculum and that alone, you're done by 12:30,
yes.
Or you could be in terms of actual instruction time. But it is a daycare situation. Like people need to be able to go to work and know that their kids are in school for that minimum 7 hours a day. You know, You throw in a study hall, you throw in the more involved career-wise a parent is, the more, inclined a child might be to be in choir after school, be in sports after school, be really involved. And, you can get a child's workload in terms of out of the home hours spent to like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. if you're trying, and you can really cushion your own work hours. But we talked about this a little bit the last time, like these parents that are having to share a professional space in the home for Zoom calls, and work is now, it's become more ever present but more dull. Like it's not as sharp with as many like when you're in the office, it's like boom, 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 meeting, and then you all break and go home for the day. And that's when maybe you're doing other types of busy work.
Yeah.
But whenever you're sharing professional space, you're having to look after a child, the power goes out, whatever is happening during this crazy time, you end up like getting that 8:30 p.m. phone call where it's like you weren't working from that. Maybe that person didn't work from 4 to 7, but now you're getting a call at 8:30, and it's like, hey man, I'm letting my hair down now. Like,
right.
But we're in coronavirus time, and I've heard on calls this week and last week no less than 5 to 7 times the phrase "the new norm."
Yeah.
We're having to acclimate to the new norm. Like, this is sunk in. People understand that this is a part of history now. Like, this
Right.
is currently, you think about Tiger King and how much of that doc was like shot in real time
Mm-hmm.
versus after the fact. You know, right now there's probably 80,000 film crews doing their coronavirus documentary,
Oh, yeah.
and they don't know how long production is going for.
Yeah, that's true.
But this will be on Netflix 6 months after coronavirus is over, if that.
Yeah.
Like, we're in a time now where it's like
There'll be
expected.
some live game show type of scenario.
People are iterating off of this, and it's amazing to see the stock market. Like, we've rebounded 2 days in a row now. I think right before we started podcasting, it was 21,000 Dow. So it had come back up from it was like in the 17 or 18 range, 18,000 range 48 hours ago. But they did just pass the stimulus package.
Yeah.
You were wondering if that was going to happen on
Yeah,
air.
yeah.
They passed a $2 trillion stimulus package, and I guess
right.
there was some drama over that. Like, they were saying that the Democrats were blocking based on X, Y, and Z, and I don't even know. It's hard. I'll tell you that the one good thing about this is that I think a lot of the rhino versus elephant, like a lot of the red versus blue stuff, has subsided for a moment. Like, we forgot that we're in a presidential year for a moment. You know, Biden is running somewhere.
Where is Biden?
Yeah. Did you see that Where is Joe has been trending?
Yeah.
He did make a TV appearance.
Pre-recorded?
I don't remember. I didn't actually watch it, but I didn't get the synopsis. It even said something to the effect of, "This is where Joe has been," or it was like, it was kind of becoming cult culture that maybe he had the COVID.
Yeah.
The COVID-19. He's like, text COVID-19 to 303joebiden.net. Actually, he did a town hall, not a town hall. He did the last debate under quarantine with Bernie in New York in the CNN studios. And I got to tell you that Joe looks sharp.
Yeah.
Joe won that debate.
Yeah.
Like, he did a great job, in my opinion. And I think that he's really cemented the party behind him. Like, Bernie's path is almost mathematically impossible from what I can understand. And just with the latest debate performance, I feel like the people that were on the fence, like, is this guy with it? Does he have early onset Alzheimer's? Like, he was thorough. He was constantly referring people back to the website for larger policy initiatives and outlines, and able to clearly reference multi-bullet plans, multi-step plans. Like, it was sharp. And Bernie seemed tone deaf in that. Like, did we already talk about this? I feel like we might have.
We might be straying into something that we have talked about.
What, politics?
Well,
that's really the only update.
It depends on what you're about to say about him.
I know that was it Rasmussen or one of the most legit polling outfits? They just put Trump's coronavirus approval rating at 60%, and I think that his overall approval rating as a president is still at 49 or 50%. So,
Yeah. Jeez.
You were asking about his viability as a candidate last time, based on the coronavirus, and he's the first one that now they're calling all these Republican lawmakers to task for. Do you think it's responsible to say that the economy should be back open for business by Easter? And they're like, all things being equal, like, that is a goal. That's a goal that he's outlining.
Yeah.
Of course he's early on it, but it's a goal. Like,
I can see both sides of it, because you can argue, like, if all these corporations stay closed and we don't open things back up, then people
are going to die anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
So it's a tough thing. Hey, what was that name of the guy I saw on? And I'm drawing a blank. The guy that I saw on TV whenever I walked in here, that I said looked like, but don't. That said, hey, this guy looks like.
Oh yeah,
the Indian dude.
Oh, So can I say what you said?
I was gonna say it.
Oh, do you?
But what?
Sanjay Gupta.
Yeah, Gupta, man. So you want to hear my political take?
Oh man,
Gupta looks like an Indian version of Ray Romano.
I'll never unsee it.
I'm just saying, look it up.
If you don't know, if you've been under a rock or don't have cable or YouTube TV, Dr. Sanjay Gupta he's a handsome fellow, by the way.
Yeah,
he is a very handsome. He's more handsome than Ray Romano, I guess is my point. But he's the chief medical correspondent, MD, for CNN, and has been just wall-to-wall CNN coverage for days now.
Yeah.
And so Brad made this observation, and he's right. It's pretty funny.
Uncanny. So, Carson and I are both, pretty informative, and you're welcome.
What? What? Are you throwing shade at me on?
No. I'm just trying to, level up.
No.
It had nothing to do with, what you said was good.
You're like, did I do that right?
No, not even that. I'm just saying, you got some information from Carson, and you got that from me.
So because you added something, you're like, I want credit for adding something?
Yeah,
man. Oh my goodness, you millennials are just you need everything. You just need everything laid out for you. You're like, I used Zoom today and I had to do a good job.
It's not even like a millennial thing.
Teach people over Zoom instead of in real life where we could just watch a movie.
You had meetings where you applaud people and pat them on the back.
oh, shots fired. Our software improves employee performance, engagement, and showcases your positive company culture and brand. Be rad.
That's excellent. And I'm not trying to diminish that.
I almost sent you a recognition
the other day. If you come for me, I'm going to fire back.
Okay. Sounds like you got a bunch of angry moms that are like, I don't hear any teaching going on in there.
No, nobody has an issue with me. Other teachers have.
Just your other geriatric coworkers?
Yeah, some teachers have been lit up, but
it's
all sunny here.
They were like, "What are you tired to
teach?" Some teachers are not even teaching until this following Monday. And
they need a couple more days to learn the Zooms?
I guess.
Everybody likes Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom. I had my assignments posted on Monday, this past Monday, so I'm good to go. Yeah, baby.
Are you technologically savvy or something?
I mean, I went to technology camp.
Oh, what year were you born in?
91.
Oh my goodness.
Having fun since 91.
Trying to think of something that rhymes with mine. I've been mine since 89. I don't know.
Okay.
89. It's weird when you think that we're in 2020 and that, like, when you have a child, like, if I had a child, it'd be like, I was born in 1989. They're going to be like,
old.
What? Be like, my parents were born in 61 and 63, respectively. And I guess if I use respectively, my mom and dad, 61, 63, respectively. Proper.
That's right.
For the English teacher. But that was same century, you know what I mean? Just later, they weren't even born pre-1950. But when you span a century, it's kind of a weird thing.
It just appears older.
It's like the 100-year-old people right now were born in 1920. Yeah. Isn't that wild? Like, Henry Ford built the car 13 years before they got born. Like, holy crap. Like, what are we talking about? If you almost saw Kitty Hawk and you're still alive, like, that's when I think, like, I already look around and feel old at times, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be itching to get out of here by 70. Yeah. In a lot of ways, I bet.
Dude, I have kids that are, like, so insensitive to, like, the 9/11 tragedy just because they didn't live through that time period.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You can drink. No, you can almost drink. You can vote and not have been alive at 9/11.
Yeah.
Which is wrong.
Crazy.
If you didn't see 9/11, GTFO.
Oh, shade.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Get COVID.
You 2002 babies, get out.
Yeah. That's just so weird. I was talking to this woman once, and she had, like, a kid that was like in school, like, could talk, like, was 10. She was like, yeah, he was born in 2009. And I was like, what?
What?
Like, I didn't know I literally I was like, oh, he's 10, so he was born in 1994. You know, I was like, kids, they didn't make kids after 2000. You know, and she said 2009, and I was like, get out of here. What?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's scary though to think about all the gatekeepers and the people with tenure and seniority like retiring in the next 5 and 10 years. Because you know, if your parents are going on 60, they're trying to get out the game in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, they're trying to be relaxing.
Yeah, so it's like all of the workforce is going to be people that were born in 1980 on.
Yeah, it's our turn.
Oh my goodness.
The passing of the torch.
It is going to be so annoying to be an adult voice of reason among our generation.
Yeah.
Like so annoying.
Yeah, we're going to start getting called the equivalent to whatever they come up with for boomers.
Well,
they're not going to respect us.
Weren't they always boomers? Aren't we always going to be millennials?
Well, baby boomers, isn't that like the 80s?
No.
When was baby? I don't know.
Baby boomers were like the end of World War II for a generation. So it was like 1945 to 1965.
Okay, so
the boomers.
Okay, so that's why you know, kids call them boomers though. So we would be called something else.
Not millennials?
I guess we would. Like that just doesn't roll off the tongue like okay boomers though.
Well, do you think the boomers were something else and then they were like, hey, let's change it. We're boomers now.
No, I just think it was a trendy thing that kids started saying. So I was just saying that we'll be.
It's like moving forward, we're no longer the post-World War II babies. We're the boomers.
Yeah.
Because we went boom overseas and then we came along.
Yeah. And we got the coronies.
Dude. So what are you thinking? What's going to happen? This is the closest I've been to another human in a couple days.
Yeah, man. I did have a slight cough earlier.
Oh, yeah. I've had a cough, bro.
Yeah.
My fever just broke, though, so you're good.
What do I think is going to happen, like, just with the world in general?
Yeah, I mean, we both have unique perspectives from, I mean, we both make different amounts of money in different industries, in different, like, geographic areas. And I really think, reflecting back on Brock's, like, snippet that he sent into the show, gang, I think that his perception, even as a medical professional, that was skeptical and then turned more, you know, scientifically based with the facts about it, like we all did, or I did. He has a different perception because he's in a much more rural area where he says, go get outside. And it's like, well, sure, easy for you if you walk out back to a mountain. But, you know, they're talking about, like, the Dallas police will arrest you if they can pull you over to see if you are an essential service worker headed to an essential service job.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, everybody's out running. Like they keep showing the news, like the Katy Trail, and how you are supposed to maintain 6 feet on the trail. And if it's too crowded, you can't enter the trail. And, you know, they literally have written on WFAA as recently as this afternoon, like, this is the order. You could be arrested and sent to jail if you're, like, out of your home, which I want to see the follow-ups on that. This all just, you know, Dallas's shelter in place was issued on Monday.
Yeah.
Or no, it was issued Sunday at 5.
Yeah.
I was playing golf. I had to go to Southwest Arlington to play golf Sunday afternoon with my buddy Scott. Because all these other municipalities have closed down. So we were all just giving each other the elbow, and he and I had a tie lead going into the we had a tie going into the 18th hole.
Yeah.
And all the way up until third shot, approach shot to the green, we both hit the green or the flank, and then we tied. It was quite the nail biter. And we've had no golf to watch, so, you know, I could play by play this for you. Like, do you believe in miracles? Yes. But my main point being that your perception in Keene, you're still going into the office. I can technically because I'm a tenant, but I think that they shut down our cafe and, like, our member area downstairs.
Yeah.
So, but I live in a much more dense population area is my main point.
Right. And not even all of our teachers are coming in. So it's not like full staff. I'm going up because I'd rather work from there. My internet, we like just got Wi-Fi, and it was still not working. Like my hotspot was working better. So we have something coming in at the beginning of next week, and hopefully that'll provide better Wi-Fi where I can stream at home. But like I said, not everybody's coming into work, so I feel safer, going there, and it's just like a nice space. I can use my computer in my classroom and my laptop to multitask while I'm doing the Zoom thing. So,
Oh, wow, look at you.
yeah,
Juggling screens, man.
always.
Did you see that the coronavirus is killing more men than women?
I did not.
Yeah. The news ticker was kind of astonishing. It was like it prefers men.
I keep wanting to make jokes like, well, then like come at me, bro. Like, but I'm afraid of karma. like I'm afraid to be like this week, like come at me, and then like next week you're just recording on your own. It's like, yeah, Brad caught it.
That reminds me of the superstition bit in Tommy Bunn's special when he's like, listen, if you're at all religious, or he goes, that's fine, but if you're superstitious or read your horoscope, like there's a special place in hell for you. He's like, if we're going over a bridge in my car and you go and hold your breath, he's like, I will push you out of that car while it's moving.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm superstitious too, but
I didn't really even mean it like, I meant more
I'll say it though.
I meant more, I guess it would be ironic rather than karma, but
yeah. Well, irony is, yeah.
You can see how.
So, coronavirus, if you're listening, Brad wants some. He's too afraid to ask for it.
I feel like it's the movie like Final Destination where death like keeps following you and you keep avoiding it, but
that's all of life, right?
Yeah.
This is great because, like, we were too bubble wrapped. It was too hard to die. We needed to make it a little bit easier and get some appreciation for like temporal life, breathing.
We became so fascinated with like those apocalyptic movies and TV shows that, hey, we got it, man. We kept wondering what we would do in these scenarios.
Yeah,
looks like the beginning of one.
Dude, I saw the funniest post from one of our buddies earlier, John Seals. I don't know if you saw this on Instagram story, but
the power.
Yeah. He's like, how does the power go out during a shelter-in-place lockdown? And he's like screenshotting his service maintenance request or whatever, and then it showed that a vehicle had like crashed into a pole or something and brought down a line. And I just was thinking, because I literally thought, when you're like working from home and then the power goes out and you don't realize that everything that you ever do involves power, and that the minute that the power goes out, the Wi-Fi is out.
Right.
And that smart TV that you have, the streaming with YouTube and Netflix, and some of it's in-app, some of it's like AirPlay, all that's suddenly not happening. And you're like, what can I access on my phone with LTE knowing that I only have 32% and the power's out?
Yep.
So but I've also said that when the looting, like the violence in the streets begins if and when there's another run on the grocery stores that's like provocative and pervasive and the power goes out.
Yeah.
But if the power goes out, we already talked about the fact that like domestic violence is on an uptick because people are crammed into close quarters together and they're not used to spending this much time with one another, with their spouse, with their children.
Yeah, I hope you like the person that you're married to, because you're going to be shacked up for a little while.
I saw one girl tweet. She got a bunch of retweets. It was kind of a nice sentiment. She goes, I've been seeing all these posts about people that are like, ugh, like have to be cooped up with my wife or husband or whatever for all this time. And she was like, I don't identify or relate. Like, I actually like the person that I married and I enjoy spending time with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, girl, he's dying to get out of there. I'm playing.
He's on the third story right now.
Oh, but it's so weird because you can't outrun this one. Like, I remember I got a flight email for $39 from Southwest today, and I was like, yeah, but I have to go to the airport and like brave this storm, and I can't go anywhere where anything's open because technically I think we're up to 13 or 18 states where it's statewide mandated shelter in place.
Yeah. Texas
hasn't gone that far. In fact, Collin County, where my parents live, I don't know if you caught this, but I think it was the mayor or somebody on the city council or somebody. They go, you're encouraged to stay at home. However, all businesses are essential because they're red Republicans up there. That is suburban 2.5 kids. We love Jesus and we love keeping our money and our guns.
That's crazy. Yeah, going back to like just my thoughts, I did have this thought as far as teachers go. Like, not only are we going to be held under the microscope, but I feel like if parents feel like they're not getting adequate education, especially for private schools, they're not going to be wanting to pay that price, especially if they're staying home, you know? It's like, well, if you're just, uploading these assignments and not really lecturing or doing anything, like why would I not enroll my kid in a public school where it's much cheaper if they're staying home anyway?
Totes.
You know what I mean?
Totes, my goats.
So,
all right, time for a pivot.
all
You
right.
ready to talk about something that we teased last episode and then we never got into it, but I'm ready to talk about it. And it has been the NFL offseason, this
yeah, dude.
free agency. I want to go in sequential order here. You want to go highest priority to lowest priority or the opposite way?
Lowest to highest.
Okay, lowest. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins got renewed in Minnesota.
Yeah.
For some good money. I saw that Cam Newton is out at Carolina, and who did they pick up?
I don't know. I'm gonna try to pull up.
Nick Foles went to Chicago Bears. I think that's a good pickup for them. Dak, I don't think that there's no updates right now, right? Like he's still
Dak?
just
No,
yeah.
Dax.
They franchised him.
Franchised. Yeah.
So that just means that they bought themselves another year.
Yeah. So we got both Dak and receiver Amari Cooper. Yeah.
Okay.
We lost Witten.
Well, that was going to be on the priority ladder. That's why I asked you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I asked you to let me guide.
Yeah, I still feel like
let me lead and you will follow.
Who are you going to talk about before that?
What? You're like, were you saying he was next up?
Yeah.
Man, I'm like an NFL stat card over here. I could have found somebody. We all know who the number one slot is that we need to discuss, but let's talk about a trend real quick. Oh, I've got another one before freaking Jason Witten, B-Rad.
Okay.
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers, 16
no longer
seasons
with the
Chargers. Where did he go?
Don't get me lying.
Okay, cool. But the big thing that I was going to illustrate is that you have 3 16 to 20-year vets with a single team that leave and go sign a short-term contract, whether it's a year or two, with another team completely across the country or whatever. Like, where did Witten go? I forget.
So Phillip Rivers went to the Colts.
Oh, because Andrew Luck retired early last year.
And Jason Witten went to the Chiefs.
Oh, wow. So they're going to have Travis Kelce and Jason Witten.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, the Raiders. It's the new Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, okay. I was like, the Chiefs. I don't remember that.
Sorry. Somebody went to the Chiefs.
So it boggles my mind when you have this picture-perfect career that I would want to emulate. Let's just cut to the chase. Tom Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and there's a lot to unpack there. I want to get your opinion on this, but I was struck. I've always loved the Derek Jeters of the world that go to a big market team. Like if you play for the Yankees, the Lakers, the Cowboys, or the New York Rangers or something like that, or even the Dallas Stars in certain ways, like Mike Badano, I think he did his entire career with the Dallas Stars and was like a living legend. And big market, Derek Jeter spent all 20 seasons or whatever with New York Yankees. They're the premier club in their sport. Witten, people like Troy Aikman, who spent his entire career in Dallas, I'm pretty sure. When you retire at your peak, it's like going back to the Michael Strahan thing from the last episode. Like, I loved that he did it all with one team. Yeah. I love it when you take that team and you win it all for your fans in your city and you ride off into the sunset. And these guys that are looking for a second win challenge at these advanced ages, and they're willing to, like, you could just always be, they're going to have to come back and retire your number, like, as a gag. You know what I mean? It's like when Pudge Rodriguez left the Rangers, and then we brought him back, signed him to a one-day contract, and then we retire his jersey and stuff like that. We have to do that for Witten now.
Yeah, and it feels like it almost cheapens it. Like,
it's less cohesive. Like, the brand, the image of it is different. It's weird.
It changes up like the legacy.
We say that, however, we can refer to some historical greats. Like Michael Jordan.
Sure.
He went and played for the
Wizards.
The Wizards. Here's the thing, though. Kobe was always a Laker. You got to respect that type of thing. Like that's.
I mean, Dirk, baby. Like
Dirk, exactly.
I would have been heartbroken if he went to another team. You know.
I mean, there's something about dancing with the one that brought you, and I get it if you're on a crap team and you want to go win a ring for the very first time or something like that. But the biggest thing here that's kind of shocking is I know Brady. On the one hand, I've always thought that Brady would want to go out having won the Super Bowl, his last appearance. At the same time, I almost can't see Brady quitting if he just won the Super Bowl. It's like, well, I still got stuff in the tank. Like, it's almost ill-advised. Yeah. I think Peyton did that, though, right? That was super special.
I think so, yeah.
I love that type of story. But with Brady, there's a lot I want to unpack with you because he's 42 or 3.
Yeah.
I guess he's always had this, like, long-term personal altruistic goal of playing till he was 45 for some reason.
Yeah.
And so he signed a 2-year, $50 million contract with the Bucks. So now Jameis Winston is still in the market?
I believe so.
I have faith that
he might just be backup, right?
I love – no, I think they released him.
Oh, for real?
Did you hear about – everybody was like, I can't wait for his 30 for 30 because he was last season he was 30 touchdowns, 30 picks.
30 interceptions compared to Tom Brady's 8.
And there was like 6 or 8 pick sixes.
Yeah, because some people were hating on the amount of yards that Tom Brady threw last season compared –
I mean, I was.
Compared to homeboys, but, I mean, far less picks as well, so
let's get into it. Like, I've heard that a big portion of this revolved around the fact that Brady could never be regarded as Brady in Foxborough, that Bill Belichick just saw the QB and the number 12 and wouldn't provide. It didn't sound like preferential treatment was necessarily mandated, but it was like, hey, when you have the team-wide 6 a.m., 20 degrees below zero, like icicle contest where we're running through the snow barefoot, like, can we excuse Tom? He's won 6 Super Bowls for us or whatever.
And he didn't get that treatment?
No, he just never got distinguished or there was no favoritism of any kind shown. And I really like the way Belichick runs his programs. And Belichick's whole thing was like, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Right.
And he wanted to dump him years ago, apparently.
You could also argue that because Belichick held him to that standard, that's what helped Tom Brady become the quarterback that he is.
100%. I think that Brady was right time, right place, right system. I think that if I'm looking for a pure, would I rather have Brady in his prime or Patrick Mahomes in his prime?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get more difficult because I might go with Patrick. I mean, time will tell, but he just won the Super Bowl at 24.
At this time, I would, just because he has a lot more gas in the tank.
So
and just so impressive his first year. Now he could be a one-hit wonder, but
we'll
doubt
see.
It.
Time will tell. But I think that he's got a cannon on him.
Yeah,
he can sling it.
Dude's impressive.
Never seen a bigger arm come out of Texas than that boy. Like, he is crazy, and I just like him as a person.
Yep,
he's very congenial or whatever the word would be. But so Brady went to Robert Kraft's home to break up with him and deliver this news. And apparently it sounded like Robert Kraft had thought that he was coming over to get his contract renewal extension or whatever done because that's what had been done in the past.
Yeah.
Apparently they had to sidestep Belichick in years past because Kraft wouldn't let Belichick like dump Brady. But the story that I've heard is that Belichick, he thought that his horse had run his race in Brady and he wanted to release him or not sign him to a new contract several years ago and go with Jimmy Garoppolo, who just took the 49ers to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So from that perspective, you know, you have maybe 1 or 2 good years left with this one quarterback, but you could have another 10 potential Super Bowl appearances with this other one plugged into a system that he's already been acclimated to for years as Brady's backup. I'm kind of with Belichick in a weird way.
Yeah,
I know that sounds disrespectful and terrible, but I'm sitting in Dallas, Texas. I'm not a Patriots fan, so I can say that objectively.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we can all look at Tom Brady and recognize that he's an amazing player, but also recognize that he's on his way out, and we got to look, or not we, but the Patriots have to look toward the future. Like, I mean, they got to plan for it. So,
well, that's the story about.
That's crazy.
We've always known that Kraft and Brady had a special relationship, and I think Kraft looks at him like a son or a grandson or something. I guess a son. Brady's old enough to be a son, but
yeah, because you look at the teaser like around the Super Bowl time of was Tom Brady going to sign back with the Patriots, and Tom Brady has this commercial where he's hinting at it, and then it ends up being like a Hulu commercial, and Tom Brady at the end's like, "I'm not going anywhere," and then lie.
We thought he meant from football as a whole.
Oh, I assumed that it was the Patriots because everybody was wondering if he was going to be back with the Patriots. We all knew that he wanted to stick around until 45.
Right. Here's where the disconnect was for me is that to me, staying in football meant staying with the Patriots. I'd never even thought of the fact that he could go somewhere else.
Gotcha.
It had never even occurred to me. And when this whole free agency thing got kind of dangled in the ESPN and news media over the last several months, I was like, yeah, this is a stunt. This is like Dak holding out for a better contract. We're still going to end up with Dak. Like in my future state mind, I would be shocked. You know what I mean? Like if we just let Dak walk and we're like, oh, we're going to go with Case Keenum or I don't know whoever's on the back burner for us, but it would be the same level of shock. So it just never occurred to me that Brady could sign with another team, especially like a Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But what do you think that their chances are?
I don't know, man, but I was about to say, like, what an odd place to end your career. Do they make the playoffs? Sure. I don't think they win a Super Bowl. I don't think he wins another Super Bowl.
What if he does?
Greatest of all time.
So he's not the greatest of all time already?
At the moment, yeah, but
he could outdo himself.
Yeah.
He could still get better.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is already charted.
Well, and I think from a ratio perspective, like Patrick won earlier in his career than Brady did, right?
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Brady didn't experience wild success till he was like late 20s, right?
Yeah, I'm being a little facetious, but I mean, I think there is a bright career for Patrick and Tom Brady. Like, I mean, I'll eat my words. I just don't think he's going to win another one. But again, it would be cool to see. It'd definitely be impressive.
We'll let y'all know how this goes in episode 275 when the NFL season is back.
Yeah, it'll be back in 3 years?
I mean, what have they had to officially move anything? Because we're going to be coming up on training camp in like 60, 90 days.
Yeah, as of yet, no. Not that I've seen. Nothing's been pushed back, but I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to end as soon as some people are speculating.
How many people are dead at the end of this thing?
How many are dead right now?
I think that it's about to be 20,000 worldwide, right?
Okay.
I think it's like there's 60,000 cases in America, and we were at 800 something deaths this afternoon. But worldwide, it was like, I think it was about to be 500,000 cases, or I don't know. Could you just pull up Twitter real quick? And
yeah, sorry.
We should be up to date on that.
I was trying to do some math in my head. I'm an English teacher, so it takes a while longer.
Carry the A. Yeah, you'll get conflicting reports, but they're all around the same.
According to worldometers.info, there have been almost 470,000 cases and 21,000 deaths.
That was right around the money.
By the time this is said and done, I say, you think it'll double or no?
Oh, I was going to say
more?
Like 500,000 deaths.
Okay. 500,000 deaths?
Yes.
There's not even 500,000 cases yet.
Right. But it is doubling, tripling every 3 or 4 days. There were 17,000 cases when I went to go golf Saturday morning. There's now 62,000 cases.
Right, but I think that they all had it at the time the other number was reported. They just hadn't been diagnosed yet.
Numbers are staggered because people are not it's not detected or tested for yet. But this thing is like spreading astronomically, like exponentially. And I think that, I mean, Louisiana just got it 13 days ago. It's going to rip those Cajuns up for a while.
They get everything a little late.
Because they're one of God's boys.
That's right. Yeah.
They need to walk out of there with Jesus in their hearts and antibacterial on their minds.
That's right. Yeah, man.
Who was the comedian that had the famous, like, it was Tosh, when he was like, am I the only one that think that of all the places in America that needed a bath, it was New Orleans?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just like, finish the job, Lord.
That's wrong.
Oh, I know, but it's Tosh. Like, he's hilarious.
Yeah, that's good.
He's like, is there anything worse than the poor? For me, and I'm poor, I've been poor, but jokes about the poor is about as funny as it gets anymore. Like, if anything could be more taboo, like, it's so funny.
Yeah.
You got a good poor person joke?
Not off the top of my head.
You got a good your mama joke? Your mama's so poor?
A twofer?
A twofer?
I don't know. I can think of one.
Your mama's so fat that she has to eat great value when she's stuffing her face and getting fat. I don't know. Tweet us your mama jokes at WKLY Catch Up Pod.
That's right. Hashtag mama jokes.
Yeah, we're holding steady at 13 or 14 loyal followers.
That's right.
Not even sure if they all listen.
Yeah, of course they will.
Do you think Kenny Collins has listened? He started following us on Twitter.
Did he?
Yeah.
Kenny, if you hear us talking about you right now,
make a noise.
Tweet us out.
Shout.
Yeah.
It's like, Kenny, if you're listening to us right now, change cardigans, walk around, read a book, grab a coffee.
This is our tentative shout out to Kenny Collins.
Yo, but shout out to Sarah Miller, who we've shouted out multiple times on the show. I'm watching. I keep, when I'm working from home, I keep the TV on silent, but I keep the news going all day, just kind of in the background. My desk is kind of around a ledge from it, but it's running in the background. And today I'm like looking over in between conference calls, and it's a USAA commercial, and they have it looks like they have a lineup of their employees, like, you know, doing cameos, and I see
her husband.
Forrest Miller,
her
husband, who we went to college with. Did he go to college with us, or did I knew him?
No, I just know of him. I've never personally met him.
Oh, I've met him many times. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah,
but
seems like it.
He's like there with a headset and a button down on this USAA commercial, and I just roll it back because originally I was like, "That's Forrest," and then I get a little closer. I like came around from the desk and like I rewound this commercial, and at first it said Forrest in, like Forrest with his last name initial. And I was like, oh, is it not? But it's a dead ringer. And then I walked closer and it was Forrest M. And I was like, okay, Miller. So I Facebooked her. She ended up sharing it. And it's like Jer Alcon and all the old SWAU gang tagged up on that one. So I'm looking forward to going and reading the comments. But he's featured in a USAA commercial. Apparently he's a software engineer or IT, or I forget what he was, some sort of engineering consultant or something for USAA.
Okay.
So, and he did a great job in the ad. Like, in fact, the person right before him or two before him, like, totally flubbed the deal. I couldn't believe that they made it into the final cut. Yeah. I guess that they were the relatable USAA employee. And then
got it.
Forrest looked like he could have been a paid spokesperson.
The champion.
Yeah, he's always had good hair. So shout out to the Millers.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Well, let's keep it going on this White Bread podcast. Who's next? The Smiths?
Who do you think the next celebrity to die will be?
Wait, has there already been?
I just mean in general. I don't mean from Corona.
Who's the most high-profile person that's died? You're like, not even from Corona. I don't know.
The most high-profile celebrity would be Tom Hanks.
No, that's died.
Oh, that's died.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks has not died.
Let's start putting the proof in the pudding. Why don't we?
I don't know.
Yeah. There's an NBAer whose mother is in a coma. Don't remember the player, his mom's name or location, but
thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers to you all and yours.
Yeah.
It's a weird business environment. I've been watching other people reach out to me, like vendors of ours that we're engaged with, like their tone whenever they reach out for feedback or, I had somebody reach out today because a month ago, apparently I had said, give me a month. And so today they said, it's been a month. And it's funny because you've gotten all your product update emails. Here's what we're doing at, UGG boots to ensure your safety.
Right.
And this, here's what we're doing at Heroku and Salesforce and Google and blah, 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 blah.
Tell me why I got a Petco one and I don't even own a pet.
Yeah. It's like, we're not related, but here you go.
Yeah.
Come get some IMs. They're essential. But what was I going to say, Brad? You just derailed me.
Sucker.
Oh, the tone of like, it's hard when you're reaching out to somebody that maybe you haven't connected with in 2 weeks since your last meeting. And you're like, hey, that whole initiative that we were going to do, like,
we still on?
Are you alive? Like, are you sick? Like, you kind of have to throw in this, like, I've been throwing in, understood if there's delays amidst this, COVID-19 situation. Many of our customers are viewing this as a great time to get on board with a platform like ours, but all businesses are different because, some people have told me, hey, we have more time, budget, and energy to spend on something like this. And others have said, we are an essential service essentially, and we're concerned about keeping our employees alive and well. And so it's been a weird time to try to strike a good accord of being maybe not an aggressive salesperson, but somebody that's, going to follow up and mind their P's and Q's, but also understand the fact that, your daughter could have contracted coronavirus this afternoon for all I know. And I could come across as totally tone deaf. Yep. So I don't know. Any, I guess, more corporate or sales driven business type people, anybody that's in an account, facing role, client facing role, that's a listener. I would love that feedback of what's your template for, being Johnny on the spot and on the ball during this time, but also like trying to practice some empathy in your email copy.
Yeah. Just send like a thumbs up emoji or a thumbs down emoji if you're all right or not.
Yeah. Speaking of tone deaf, there's B-Rad for you. You'd crush it at business. You'd be like, you like the proposal? Thumbs up or down?
You got that virus or no?
Yeah. You got that virus you trying to buy? Somebody ate a polygon a month ago and a pangolin. Oh, you remember? Look it up. Episode 25, buddy. Our silver edition. We've been making
those little armadillo
Amarillos.
Yeah, armadillo possum hybrids.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I'm about ready to wrap this podcast. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'd love to end on pangolins.
No, I feel like big shout out to Brock.
Yeah, baby.
Really appreciate. We should make that we should get more people to record snippets. Like we talked about Heston doing his Flybox promo.
Yeah, not just any of y'all listeners though.
No. Yeah. Like we have to ask you. Don't you dare approach us.
We'll knock on your door.
Well, for such a small audience, we really like ostracize these people. We're calling them tots, thoughts, and bots. We're like, we're not introducing concepts like a high level. We're like, let's just talk amongst the two of us.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's funny. We should also get Checkers. And if we have her pre-record it, we know she won't swear.
Yeah. Checkers, if you're listening,
we love you
to death.
But sometimes I watch her story and I'm like, I remember when she first had
she
Facebook
have a lot
privacy
of people
controls, and like she was so worried about parents following her.
Checkers, do you have people blocked on your Instagram stories, or you just don't care?
I watch her stories and then I'm like, this isn't even like a close friend story, and she's just like, this effing thing did this effing thing. Like, it's so, I love it. And also shout out to her because she has by far the largest vocabulary that is actually used in frank conversation of any of my friends. She swears like a sailor, which we all do, but not on this show. Yeah, you don't.
No,
you do.
I think it.
You do with me.
No,
you do with. Whoa! I thought you were touching me.
I had an itch. It's the virus.
Keep your social distance, brah. All right. Who you got? Shout outs to.
I want to shout out Cameron Burks. I don't know if he's still listening, but he's been in my thoughts. I saw him post a picture of him and his wife and kids, and I think he is someone who listens pretty steadily. So I just want to say, what's up, Cameron? Miss you, love you. And again, shout out to Brock for his little snippet that he sent in, and then also again Andy and Kaylee.
Right on.
What you got?
I'm trying to think. I mean, shout out to John. I hope he gets his power back on.
Yeah, bro.
During these trying times. Shout out to our friend Shelly. I saw her story today that she's officially had to postpone hairdressing activities, and her year is kind of taking a hit at the moment because she was going to go do some hair work in Italy.
Oh man.
Of all places. She had this beautiful, she was going to spend a week out there with, I think, her makeup artist partner, and I'm not even sure what the exact situation was, but it was going to be dress these people up for the day and then tour Italy as much as you want the rest of the time. And obviously that's, she's concerned about the honeymoon at this point, which isn't slated until late November, early December. So hopefully we'll get a reprieve before then. But, we're planning multiple bachelor parties and weddings and all this stuff right now. And it's just been difficult because, we're supposed to have Michael's in Vegas in September.
Yeah.
And I'm tentatively going to miss Bo and Stephanie. My cousin Bo is marrying Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to miss that wedding because, do you know them?
Shout out Bo and Stephanie.
Yeah, mazel. We're super excited. And
I
Bo's been grinding. I heard that he's got this, like, I forget what implementation or something that's got him traveling all over the nation doing stuff. So we're excited to see that. I think he had several career paths kind of charted, and this is him really like stepping up, and like he's got himself a big boy job, and we're all very excited that he's getting to marry Stephanie and got himself a big boy job and doing his thing in his chosen field. So shout out to them and all the family.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But at the same time, it's been hard to book flights or hotels because it's like we're going to be dealing with COVID and like possible extinction by that point, or
Right.
we having a wedding, people. Like,
so like the same thing.
Also, like, it's like, do you still want to get married if all of this is going on? Like, anytime stuff gets hard, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm like, can you imagine all of this plus a child? Like, no, screw that. For me, all the shade for that.
Yeah.
So I guess that was my roundabout shout outs.
Great, man. Shout out all medical workers, anybody that's, food industry who's and delivery services who are still making these runs. Y'all are doing awesome, man.
Shout out to everybody helping them too, connecting them with not-for-profits. And I live down the street from some sort of pantry center, and every day they have people out there with masks and gloves, handing out food, and just the rapid human response that we've seen, breaking down the red and the blue, and just, getting people to come together, even though they're leery of each other. There's a severe craving for human interaction, and it's been awesome to see everybody out running and walking their dogs. I saw a girl taking a Zoom call in a hammock yesterday.
Chilling.
That was a first. So, I'm excited for the first dinner party back,
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we can start looking forward to.
Yeah.
We should also come up with some sort of, I've been thinking about this. What if we did like a weekly catch-up podcast sponsored charitable initiative? What if we did our own food drive, or we did our own like soup kitchen volunteer hour where we went and we recorded some content. We told listeners to come out and meet us there, and we all do a group photo. We do some service, and
we have like less than 10 listeners anyway, so we'll still be following the rules.
That's not true.
I'm just kidding. Just totally kidding.
Oh
I love sorry, I took the steam out and I apologize. I think that's an awesome idea.
Okay, great.
I love that.
Well, we'll get back to you with Brad's holy shirt and pants concepts that he'll be bringing to the charitable market. Wow, look at me being just so great, and you just taking a big old poo all over it.
No,
you gonna poop right after this podcast like you did last week?
Nah, man.
You got any reviews on my toilet paper?
Dude, you had like 5 rolls in there. You're just hoarding them.
No, I just bought 5 rolls.
I'm just messing with you, man.
What'd you think about the thickness? Did it do you good?
Yeah, better than you typically have, to be honest.
Okay, well that's kind of what I said. You don't have to remind everyone that you're like Carson normally goes for the real cheap stuff.
Yeah. No, it was great. It felt like a cloud.
My my parents have a roll of John Wayne toilet paper in the guest bathroom, and they have for about 20 years. And the caption is, "It's rough, it's tough, and it doesn't take crap off of anyone."
That's good. Classic.
All right, well, shout out to you, Tots. We appreciate y'all. Episode 25 in the books. Shout out to my man here.
Do it, man. Awesome. Right. We'll catch y'all up next week.